Hello and welcome to part 2 of the collective reading for the Aquarius new moon. Part 1 went on for a little while. Now I was breaking down, because it's the Chinese New Year, it's the Lunar New Year, it's the first new moon. I broke down all of that, also the numerology of the year 9 and the cross-quarter fire festival that happens around the new moon in the sign of Aquarius called Imbolc. And this is the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere. I broke down all of the meaning of all of this and how they all interlink, right? We're in the year of the wood snake. We've just had a nodal shift into the signs of Pisces and Virgo, and obviously that's the head and tail of the dragon, which is another, metaphor for the snake of transformation, for that vibrant earth energy within us. And it's also the year of the wood snake and the numerology 9 of the shedding of the last 9 years, right? And the emergence of new life as we go into the year 1. So that video went on for a little longer than anticipated, so I decided to split them up. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the astrology of the exact moment of the new moon in Aquarius, of how the celestial bodies are talking to each other. What does that mean? What does that represent? What is that energy then we're now working with over the next 6 months that will take us up to the full moon in Aquarius during Leo season? So fresh new energy coming in with a new moon in the fixed sign of Aquarius, the collective air sign, right? This is, I broke this down in part 1, but I'll just summarize. It's kind of like universal principles, universal ideas, core principles of how to operate, and how to, it's more of like that higher perspective, the observer mode. I often link Buddhism into Aquarius because Aquarius is very egalitarian, and that is one thing that at least the intention of Buddhism, I mean, like all practices, if they've been around for a while, that dogma creeps in, right? Aquarius isn't really about dogma. It is about that sort of the core principles that never really change, right? The sense of equality, the understandings of the fundamentals of the universe that we then adapt and flow with. But as I said, Aquarius is more looking to the future. It's more sort of the maverick, inventive energy, right? Of having more of an equal society. That is one part of it. Being okay with lots of different people's ideas, because there's this knowing, because when we get to the core fundamentals, we know that everything stems from that. So everything relates to those core perspectives, even if it's something that you don't necessarily personally, subjectively agree with. At the time of starting this recording, the ascendant is in Gemini. Now this is, as I said in part 1, this is relevant because one of the major aspects, there's not much astrology with this moon, is the trine with Jupiter, who happens to be in the sign of Gemini. So we're really activating that kind of wisdom orientated frequency, the fluidity of that mutable energy. Fixed energy, which is Aquarius, can, once it gets going, can keep going. But the flip side of that, it can be very stubborn, So I really appreciate that we've got this mutable energy coming in that is helping us understand those core principles, but also how to be fluid with them, to be able to change and shift how we apply them. So this new moon is happening on the 29th of January. It's happening at 9 degrees 51 minutes of the sign of Aquarius. It happens to be on top of my Jupiter. I've got Jupiter in Aquarius, which is retrograde in my natal chart. I question everything, right? I don't take anything that anybody says as real, right? I've got to figure it out for myself. But it's that being able to find the space to bring in that higher perspective. And again, I talk about this a lot in part 1, without spiritually bypassing the individual moment, right? Finding the wisdom of the higher perspective in what's going on for us. This is a new moon energy. We're planting new seeds around accessing, with that Aquarian energy, accessing your higher frequency, activating your universal truth, activating the intention to work with the universal truths of the universe. Now, I'll talk about these when I feel intuitively guided to come to them. But I've listed out all in my notes, and it's quite interesting. This is the first time in a while I've actually written notes about something that for a lunation. I've listed out the Hermetic principles, right? There are 7, and these are kind of like the fundamentals of working with the core aspects of how this universe works, right? And applying that into your life. And that feels, again, similar to the Buddhism energy, the sense of neutrality, right? Of non-attachment, the awareness of what the core principles are, that they're not out to get you. And so there's this sense of neutrality that comes in. The key phrase that I had for this moon was neutrality, not numbness. Now, we can often mistake neutrality for numbness as neutrality, but numbness is when we hide from those emotions, when we hide from difficult ideas, difficult perspectives. And the neutrality is that finding that fundamental, well, it's source energy, really, neutrality, that unconditional love energy that is the root of the universe, of whatever's going on, of holding a state of neutrality to what's going on without the sort of the desires, the attachment to outcomes, the expectations, the assumptions. And it's not that you don't have preferences and you don't have desires, but when we step into a state of neutrality, we then access a higher level of co-creation with source, because we are not fixed on any particular outcome. And so therefore, the truth of our heart is able to come through. And that's the Leo energy. Leo rules the heart. And Aquarius rules the nervous system. And so there's this alignment here that we're activating of the power of our heart that is influencing our nervous system, of how we engage and glean information, and how we respond to external stimuli. Again, that neutrality that allows that heart to be in its full vulnerable state of being open to what is unfolding. Now, as I already mentioned in part 1, so for those of you who might not have caught it, I'm just going to summarize. This new moon is the first new moon since the nodes changed signs. We had the Cancer full moon come up first, a couple of days afterwards. That was the first lunation. And obviously eclipses, which is linked into the nodes, so wherever the nodes are, where eclipses happen, involve the sun and the moon. So that first Cancer full moon, that energy was imprinted into the beginning of this nodal cycle, and therefore flavoring the whole cycle. And then, even though this is a moon that isn't an eclipse, you'll find that lunations, as well as having their own agenda, they are going to be acting as tools of how to facilitate and work with the nodal cycle. Speaking of which, I've just finished doing that whole transit. There's a lot of content because it's a 1.5 year long transit, and it's eclipses, it's a big deal. And as I said in part 1, I know that you probably pull a tarot card every time I say that. The work that we do this year, it's a year 9, so closing out, the work that we do now is going to have such a payoff. So if you're just feeling heavy and restrictive, you're like, I don't want to do the soul growth, I don't want to put it into practice, I don't want to figure these things out, I just want to say the astrology this year is wild, as is next year, and it's a big setup to a shift of our reality and our consciousness and our capacity to engage in that reality. The channeling that I'm doing at the moment that came through in that nodal cycle, very mantra-like. And I'm going to talk about a particular mantra at the end of this reading. But this moon is acting as an upgrade of our wisdom in the core principles, ideas, perspectives of the universe. And we are then going to be applying that to the themes of the North and South Node, right? How to work with it. I'm also, with that sort of watery energy of the North Node in Pisces, going to bring in the Tao after I've talked about the Hermetic principles, because the Tao is that alignment with these bigger ideas. We're stepping more into our truth, right? Our higher objective perspective and truth of how we perceive reality. That is shifting. You know, those of you who've seen any of the North-South node transit in Pisces and Virgo, you'll know what I'm about to say. But the whole thing with this is practical magic. Right? That North Node in Pisces, the non-linear, non-rational, synchronistic, fluky, miracle energy of Pisces is being magnified. Right? We're going into new territory of how to work with it, to trust in it, to believe in it. Jupiter rules Pisces. Faith, wisdom, opportunities, abundance. Itala diala mo tuela. We're letting go of the rationalist, materialist, finite expectation of our 3D reality. In a way, we're letting go of the death grip we have over that in terms of what we've been conditioned to experience. Itala diala mo tuela. Letting go of perfectionism, control, fear. Itu fala di shani. With that South Node in Virgo, allowing that South Node ishale mo tuela diana to bring in a higher frequency of facilitating the magic of Pisces. We are not here to push. Where there's resistance, do not push, soften, go into a flow state. It may take you elsewhere, it may be redirected, or you may get inspiration from that place of softening that will help you navigate the resistance, but we're not here to force at the moment. So that's the Tao, that's more of the yin energy coming through, of getting out of our own way, softening, surrendering. It's also that Pisces energy that's then allowing our instincts, our clarity to come through, that yang energy to come through. And obviously Aquarius is a yang sign, it's a day sign. Of air and fire are yang in nature. That is the outward manifestation, the get up and go, the action of it all, the implementation, the immediacy of the implementation. Right, so I'm going to get one more card, and these three cards are representing the overall intention of this moon. And we got the card at the bottom of the deck for that. So we have we have the Five of Wands in reverse, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. So this is clearing away of the clutter of our instincts, right? The conflict, right? And things going on but no momentum, the procrastination, right? The frustration, the sort of, just have to pause, I've got something coming up in my throat, doing some throat chakra clearing. So I just mentioned a bit before about stepping into our truth, right? That clarity of the King of Swords, right? Which is an Aquarius card, of being able to act on that truth. And with this Five of Wands in reverse, this very much feels like a process. Remember, this is a new moon. It's unfolding over the next 6 months. We're planting seeds here and activating those seeds and putting it into practice. That this new moon is clearing away that conflict, right? The drama, the frustration around our inner truth, right? It's allowing it to come out more freely. And it's also kind of ties into the capacity to instinctively put into practice the higher truth that's coming through. Itala, because fire is your instinct, right? You're not even thinking about it, you're just doing it. And then it's come with the Ten of Pentacles, which is through that release of the Five in the reverse, we're stepping into the capacity to build for our legacy, right? That longer term perspective, that zoomed out perspective, but manifesting it in the 3D world, right? Creating from these principles, this clarity of your universal truth, whatever that means to you. You know, this is actually what's it called? Tree of Life. I nearly said Flower of Life, which I've got here on this ring, right? The Tree of Life, which I have over here, which is that, so it's all the different, which is another form of looking at principles. It's one that I didn't tap into. I think that's more Pisces in energy. But the certain principles of being and how that then facilitates our creation energy. And that creation energy is getting louder and louder with the Imbolc Cross-Quarter Fire Festival, which I talk about in part 1. And this is, you see here, we've got the elder figure covered in esoteric symbols, and then the nuclear family, which are more sort of plain energy, right? Cities take forever to build, and there's this acknowledgement of the mundane, right? The typical, the conventional, the 3D reality with the unseen realms, with the metaphysical, with the higher spiritual understanding. And when we bring these together, when we put them into practice and create in the 3D, right, whatever that may be, the happy family, right, that is an esoteric experience, right, that is a meaningful experience. But when we blend these two together, that's when we're able to build for the long term. And following that, with this intention of that higher perspective of creation in the 3D, we get new ideas, new wisdoms, new opportunities, right? Pages aren't jaded. They've just got into the court. They're so excited. They want to talk to everybody. So we're really open to new ideas, new possibilities, new ways of being with this embodied wisdom that's coming through, right? So being able to put all of this sort of high vibrational galactic council, Aquarian energy into the 3D, into the earth. Di anima o toela di shinimo doela di anima. So this moon, as I said, 9 degrees 51 minutes, is conjunct Mercury and Pluto. Ito fala di anima. Pluto is about your power, right? Whoa. And then, oh, thank you. They just reminded me by bringing the card that was at the bottom of the deck when I was after I'd finished shuffling those 3 cards, which I completely forgot to look at. It just flipped out. It was the Strength card. Okay, so this is kind of the root energy, okay, and this is Leo. So that's the heart. Now, the last Pluto in Aquarius transit series that I did, I focused on how with this opposition to Leo, we really want to make sure we don't detach too far, right, and disconnect from the 3D world by reconnecting to our heart, but having this universal frequency, this universal truth come through the heart. So, you know, I already spoke about that, and when I saw that the Strength card was at the bottom of the deck, I was like, get in. This is brilliant. So this is about the recalibration of our instincts and our higher self working together, right? So that kind of Aquarian energy with the blood that's pumping through us, with the earthly mammalian material world. And it means a part of being very vulnerable and activating a space of love and kindness as you recalibrate, as you step into your strength and your courage to follow your unique path. Now, I don't really work with Uranus ruling Aquarius. For me, it's Saturn, because I work with the Hellenistic principles from over 2,000 years ago. And for me, I've put those into practice. I see them show up really loudly, right? Although I completely understand why Uranus is linked into Aquarius. They have very similar energy. I just find the 3 outer planets don't, you know, they don't like being confined to one particular sign. But there is that kind of inventive, innovative energy, the black sheep of it all, of the Aquarian energy, that it's comfortable being original to itself, that Leo energy, because it wants to be seen and valued and, you know, loved, right? And therefore can have an element of conformity. The combination of the two allows you to really let your heart guide your uniqueness, rather than if that uniqueness was perhaps bullied or teased in the early years, then we shut that away, you know, conforming certain ideas in certain situations. That Strength card showing up is allowing us to integrate the universal truth of self, right, into our heart and into the courage and the strength that we now feel to take that out on the road. They're just tapping the deck over the heart space, not the heart chakra. He likes kind of breaking up any restrictions, right? Both Leo and Aquarius are fixed, as I said, stubborn. I say that as somebody who has mostly fixed energy, but as I said in part 1, pull a tarot card. The mutable energy of Gemini with that Jupiter energy is very powerful right now to help us dissolve and break up fixed energy that doesn't serve us anymore. Remember, we're in a year 9, we're shedding our skin. That's allowing whatever comes through, that higher connection to our truth, to then become fixed and not get broken up. So Aquarius at the bottom of the deck, but we'll move on. Right, so Pluto, your power. Now, the sense of the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, resources that have been hidden, that are unearthed, your magnetism, your root-id power, right? So this is something very primal and deep within you. Now, Pluto can highlight distorted power dynamics. And it can highlight dramatic shifts that we can struggle with, because we can struggle with change. Pluto, my key word to get in alignment with Pluto, and I've only just thought of this in regards to the key phrase that I have for this moon, is neutrality. Lol. And that all the drama of Pluto is just highlighting where you're trying to control, right, in a way that distorts the truth of your power. Your power is always there. You do not need to control anything, including yourself, in order to hold it within yourself, right? There's this sense of control over how things are. Pluto's about change. The more that we step into neutrality and then find the higher perspective, the less that Pluto energy is going to shake us up, because you're already in alignment and being comfortable with the fact that things change, the cycles of life, death, rebirth, a core fundamental of the universe. So Pluto and Mercury conjunct this new moon. Pluto's at 1 degree, Mercury's at 2 degrees. They are still within the conjunction of this new moon. Pluto and Mercury combined. Oof, some big downloads about your rooted power, the truth of your rooted power, right? You have the clarity of thought, the clarity of your principles, the clarity of the direction that you're heading into a more innovative and inventive, unique space. I'm being called. Okay, I was called to cut the deck. Oh my god, where did that card go? We got cut the deck and got the 4 of Pentacles and Judgment, which is Pluto, and the High Priestess. And this is kind of summing up everything that I really just did say. So that 4 of Pentacles is you creating from your sovereign unique frequency and not being distorted by the collective, right? Your universal truth is being protected and strengthened because you're in your power. So the way that you manifest and create from a place of safety and security is no longer being distorted by the fear mindset. It's a thriving mindset coming in. Judgment, this is Pluto. Hi. This is the ascension, right? The ascension energy that's coming in from Pluto, that through this download that we're getting of being in our power and it being there and not distorted, that we then go through the ascension process, right? By releasing a lot of old wounds, a lot of wounds from the ancestors. They are being raised up. Our energy flow, this is like doing a hell of a lot of qigong, right? The energy within us is more in alignment. So we're able to create from our angelic frequency and build with this sense of higher perspective. And then the High Priestess, not controlling, not in a fear state, not being possessive or obsessive, very Pluto. And this, I love this with the Mercury energy, right? This is the communication from Mercury of the High Priestess. This is also the Moon's card. Knows she's drawing towards her that which brings her abundance and fertility. She's not kind of trying to control how it happens. She knows within herself that she is inherently vibrating that towards her, right? There's a real sense of knowing here. And this is tying into the yin, Tao, Pisces energy, right? That you don't have to control your reality in the way in terms of a fear mindset or a planning mindset. We're liberating that, we're letting go of it, and we're stepping into a more intuitive understanding of the vibration of you drawing towards you that which you need. And through that process, the trust in that, the strengthening of your vibrational frequency that's back to your frequency and not the distortions, is going to be bringing in that which matches the Judgment card, the Pluto card, that sense of ascension. Oh yeah, I felt called to use another deck to get 2 more messages from Mercury. di shanima do shanima di shanima do fala. 1 di shani moyana di shani dialama dianima uela. I'm gonna get 2 more from a different deck. Ishana mayani anu 1 more dianima di I don't know if you could hear the person that I live with. Someone just knocked at the door while I was doing this recording, and the person that I lived with went to get it, and it was the postman delivering messages. So very mercurial in nature. Dialemo do fala dian. Right, so those are the 2 cards. We've got the Fool at the bottom of the deck for that one. Oh, no, don't all drop on the floor. Right, what have we got here? So we've got moderation, activate, personal growth, and messages. So this moderation card for me is about the letting go of the distorted perspectives, right? The where we're now moderating how we engage with certain constructs and perspectives that are linked into conditioning, right? So there's an element of cleansing that I'm getting with this moderation card, of being, it might involve at the beginning, with the new energy of being in observation of certain ideas and constructs. And when you sort of do a meditation and tap into, okay, what is my universal truth, that can often highlight that which you need to be moderate about, right? So there may be certain practices and perspectives that you have that may just require some slow integration of releasing, i.e. to bring them into a state of moderation through daily practice, and then shift into a new perspective. Because honestly, the slow integration road is the best. And again, that's sort of tying back into sort of like daily mantras. We've then got activate, awakening, and enlightenment. So that kind of ascension process, right? By stripping back certain ideas, it's clearing the space for the truth of you to come out, right? Having that, perhaps in the meditation, the awareness of the conditioning of the collective, right? Of how you perceive at a higher level, and allowing that to sort of dissolve. Remember, Neptune is conjunct the North Node at the moment, so it's helping dissolve old stuff in order for us to move into new territory. We then have personal growth, right? So this is going to lead to a huge integration of wisdom, and that's a Jupiter energy as well, of the elevation of how you operate in the 3D world from this higher perspective, that is going to see such openness of how you experience your own incarnation, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, with this sense of wisdom and the sense of awe. We then have messages, an open mind. So keep an open mind of what comes out as you evolve, right? So one thing that you might think is fixed during this process is going to perhaps shift and change and evolve. So like a real sense of clarity with that Mercury conjunct Pluto, of what's at your rooted power, what is your magnetism, and how to understand it, and how to elevate it, a recalibration of your awareness of reality to a state of neutrality, and then through that comes your power. Do we want one more from here? Hierophant, right? In Taurus, embodied wisdom. Taking it out on the road, actually feeling it in your vessel, not just it being a mental construct, but implementing it and doing it, and it showing up, and you showing up out in the world. And obviously Taurus squares the Aquarius energy. So what else is going on in the sign of Aquarius? Well, we've got the asteroid Ceres. Ceres is like the great earth mother, the grain mother, right? The fertility of the abundance of the food, the harvest, right? Does represent nourishment, nurturing. So there's an element of the sense of the harvest coming in, of seeing the abundant nature of the universe. At a higher level. Now she's at 20 degrees of Aquarius. It's still in the same sign, right? It's 10 degrees, it's more than 10 degrees away from the sun and the moon, and 10 degrees is usually often the widest orb used to incorporate it as a conjunction, but she's still in the same sign, so that influence is still coming in of getting that sort of heightened connection to the great Earth Mother, and understanding that we are here on this planet. We're not here to escape it. And being able to incorporate the abundance of these universal truths, these universal frequencies that are coming in, to then apply it to nurture ourselves in this incarnation, of making it practical, right? We got that Page of Pentacles, and the 10, it's a lot of the earth energy. Okay, what does Ceres want to say to us? What's her vibe? We're going to do 3 cards for my lovely Ceres. Itana maduela dianima, ma itufa tishanima. Just realised, not to make it all about me, but this moon is on my Jupiter, exactly the same degree, and Ceres is exactly on the same degree as my moon. Ooh, alright. Ishalimaduela diashanamotofiana, itufanianama, ut oshanama. Hey, Ceres, what do you got to say? Dianimoyana. Dishanima etanimo nama ina dishanimo toela dishanama dina dianimo tofala. Right, so 3 cards. Oh, Fool at the bottom of the deck, really helping us just feel better in this 3D incarnation. Right, so we have the 3 of Cups, the Temperance, and the 3 of Wands. 6 of Cups, the Temperance card, and the 6 of Wands, so double sixes, coming into balance, coming into harmony. So, you know, interestingly, still, apart from, oh no, that Queen of Swords was in the other reading, we haven't got a single air card come out. Very interesting. So 6 of Cups, this is making peace with the past. This is seeing the fertility of all the experiences that you've had, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, right? And now flowers are growing from that grief. Flowers are growing from that pain. So this is that Ceres energy of the abundance, of the growth and the experiences of that you've had. And now we're making peace with them. Right, this is the biggest house in tarot, so it represents this element of your emotional body feeling safe and secure, obviously dealing with the moon, which does represent our emotional body, and as I said, just sort of being present with the past, and not attached to it in the same way. And one of the things that I wrote down was, you know, that awareness that our souls signed up for this, right? And sometimes that can be really difficult to hear if you've experienced a lot of difficult situations. I've certainly had plenty of them in my own lifetime, and even though I've always sort of known that we've signed up for this, it, you know, our emotional body, you know, can get in the way of us really integrating in the physical vessel that we have trust and faith in the unfoldment of what we signed up for. So I really love this in terms of the soothing of our emotional body, of the wounds from the past, and finding the wisdom, finding the abundance in them, and allowing us to step into a new space, right, while feeling very safe and secure. So this is this Ceres energy, this harvest, this sense of nurturing and nourishment she's bringing in for us. We then have the Temperance card. Hello, Sag, right? This is the alchemical process, right? The refinement process of bringing the angelic energy within us into the 3D world through the sense of refinement, right? Of being open to receive and to give to every little part of you, and really elevate it, right? And incorporate it and feel confident in the alchemy of your own existence, and the path that you walk and the elevation of that path. I'm really sorry, I'm having to keep pausing because I just keep getting this tiny little tickle come up, and it, you know, it is about a universal truth that's coming in, of knowing our own truth and communicating that. I feel called, this was in my notes, that, you know, I was tapping into a lot of philosophical patterns by tapping into this energy. And it reminded me, as I was going through the Hermetic principles, as I was looking at the Tao, of, I read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and the most interesting book to me was the first book, right? So the first chapter, where essentially he lists all these people who he's learnt from, and their kind of core principles, their core things of like what to do, how to be. And predominantly throughout all of, not every single one, but one of the major themes that kept showing up was be honest. Be honest so people can trust you, right? So often we lie to ourselves, we lie through omission, and it's really hard to be impeccable with your word, right? Because so often we don't say things because we're mindful of the sensitivity of other people, right? Or for whatever reason, or there may be something where we're like, oh, I don't really need to say that, right? And therefore I'm not lying, right? So it's, and I don't want to say you got to go and be the truest of truest at all times, right? That's a process. That's, you're going to figure that out for yourself. You're going to find yourself in situations where there's going to be an instinct perhaps to say more of the truth than you have done in the past. Celebrate that, you know, really, what was the word? Celebrate that achievement, celebrate that little mini milestone, rather than being like, well, I'm not perfect, I'm not saying the full truth, right? But there is this element of it starts with being radically truthful to yourself, right? Finding out what is your truth. And this is what's going on here now, that there's more peace with the past rather than the entanglement with it. You know, so often we can have certain situations where we're still in rage. We're still like, what the F? Like, that was nonsense. How could anyone, or how could this even, that kind of energy? That's conflict vibes, right? We're letting go of this conflict. And when we make peace with something, we find that wisdom, and then we shed the skin of that entanglement where that sort of rage or the injustice or whatever it was, then changed who we were and how we perceive the world. And when we make peace with something, as I said, that neutrality comes in, the truth of us comes out. So we're going through a process of shedding a lot of truths that we thought were truths, right? That is allowing us to then have more space to alchemize our true frequency in the 3D world. And we've got a lot of support from Ceres. She's going to bring in resources for us to work with, whether that's a certain situation or being drawn to a particular philosophical, right? Began with peace. Methodology and how you put it into practice, and you'll have the energy and that sense of feeling good, that sense of the harvest, the abundance of being able to put it into practice. And I think because of Ceres being there, we're going to see a quick turnaround of the integration of it. Itala di animo ela ma di shanimo oela di anima ot oela di shanimo oela di anima di shinima ot oela di shinima. Cut the deck a couple of times and got the relationship change and the happy ending, i.e. the relationship change away from scarcity. We're going to have quick integrations rather than worrying about, oh, this is going to take forever, and a happy ending here. Itu fala di anima. Got one more. We got intuition. So follow your intuition of how this unfolds for you on a personal level. That is the goal. Ituela di anima. Oh God, cut the deck from the other one. Got temperance again. Balance, miracles, combinations, environments. We're shifting our inner environment and it's going to be reflected externally. Ituela di anima. 6 of wands. What? 396. Ituela di anima. Doela ti. This is someone who's gone out and done a thing instinctively. They've gone on that journey, whether it's you evolving your soul or putting things into practice when you go out into the world, putting these perspectives into an alignment of you as you move into the world. And it may have involved some challenges, but with this energy, there's a sense of feeling really good about what you've done, right? With that victory wreath hanging there. It's also about outside recognition, right? For some of you, this may be the case. It could be recognition from your tribe, from your soul team, and they're like, yes, you did it, right? But there's this sense of awareness from the outside world, right? We change our own reality, that by going and doing and walking this path, you're activating a sense of reciprocity from the outside world. So that's Ceres. So the trine with Jupiter. This is really one of the there's two other aspects going on, but this is kind of the main vibe, right? The trine with Jupiter. Jupiter is still retrograde. It's going to go direct on the 4th of February. As someone who has a Jupiter retrograde, this just means you have more space and capacity to question things, which is really healthy when we go through the unfolding and opening of our understanding of self, right? Of not just thinking, oh, this is it, right? You're pushing further and further and further into the inner world, right? Of your inner wisdom. And it's trying this moon, right? It's trying everything that's going on in the sign of Aquarius. And we've got more air here. It's mutable air. It's Gemini. It's playful. It's curious. It's open to change, right? There's a lightness to it. It's able to make new connections. It's not taking things so seriously in the best possible way, which allows it to contemplate different ideas and bring them together. And as I said, make those new connections, that deeper inner wisdom. It's a very sort of, as I say, that playful energy, right? Rather than the heaviness and the seriousness of a Saturn-ruled, a Saturn-ruled sign, right? Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius. Di animo yala di animo to enema di shanimo do fala di anima do fala di animo shanima di animo yana. And so we've got this retrograde energy inbuilt into this new moon, so it's going to be part of the next 6 months, that even though Jupiter's going to go direct soon, and so we'll feel that this new moon is really getting us to do the deep inner work, the deep inner questioning of how to genuinely integrate internally, as within so without, these principles, whatever they mean to you. Well, I'm going to read out some that I've already written down that may resonate, but like the core principles of the universe. And a trine is ruled by Jupiter, and so this is free flowing energy. There's air signs, they're both yang, they're not having to question each other, right? So it's a really quick transference of energy. It brings integration, wisdom, elevation, and with that wisdom comes a deeper knowing, and with that knowing, that sense of, the faith of it all, with that knowing comes a deeper confidence, like a real mature confidence that allows you to feel good, right? Genuinely feel good, allows you to sort of be open to the abundance and the opportunities, right, that are coming through by doing this inner work. I just feel called to sort of mention these oracle cards. I haven't read them, so I haven't read what they say in the books, but I pull them before doing any transit, and just by looking at the key themes in them, I'm like, whoa, we've got universe and DNA recalibration going on here, right? To see the nectar of the world and the magic, right? And interestingly, we've got express your love, that Leo energy coming in with the strength card, that we're really open to change and to integrating this higher frequency, this, as I say, sort of, all the galactic council kind of vibes, who aren't just focused on Earth, right? They're focused on the bigger picture and all the different patterns. And you apply that to your own life, right? Of being able to have this sort of, that might be something you want to do, is think about, okay, if you had a council that was sort of in your energy field, what kind of energies would you want to be represented on that council that you would go to and say, hey, here's this problem, right? And ask for their opinion. So what kind of energies, what principles would you want on your council? And you might want to do meditations on that. Try that out. I'm going to try that out because I've never said that before. So we'll see what happens. Right. So for the Jupiter trine, we have the 7 of Wands, the 2 of Swords, the 2 of Wands. So we've got 2 6s, 2 1s showing up. A fair amount of major arcana. We've got the Ace of Pentacles and then the 10 of Cups. So the transition we have here, 7 of Wands for me is one of the archetypal frequencies we are working through as a species. This figure is standing on the cliff. They have the higher ground. It was 4404 when I said this. They have the higher ground. They have something of value. They are of value. Do they look like they know it? They look terrified. They look so uncertain, so unsteady about this situation, right? Even though they have the good position, right? They are on guard. They are thinking they need to do battle, right? So there's an element of conflict, of scarcity here, that if you've got something of value, right, other people do too, and therefore you've got to fight to take up space, right? That there isn't enough space. And these 6 of Wands, right? We've got this here, right? These, you don't know where they're going. They could just be going off over there, right? And not coming up to try and do battle with you. Do you need to engage in that conflict mentality, right? So this is something we're working through, of knowing our own value. Source loves you no matter what. That unconditional love, right? That's being activated with Pisces, which is infiltrating the whole chart at all times. So we're on this journey of embodying instinctively the deep understanding, the higher principle that we are loved and we are of value, right? So this is what we're navigating. This is what Jupiter is helping us questioning our lack of value, questioning that scarcity, that competition and mindset, right? That's embedded in our instincts. This is actually Mars in Leo, and Mars is retrograde in Leo at the moment. Well, it's done its retrograde cycle. It's in the sign of Cancer. We're not going to leave that retrograde cycle till the 2nd of May, which is reminding me about a bit of housekeeping. If you want a personal reading based on the Mars retrograde, they are currently... Ooh, forgot this card came out. Thank you. What was this about? This was with Mercury. Yeah, they're 50% off at the moment if you want to deep dive. Mars retrograde's the least out of everybody. So email me directly if you want to take me up on that. Also, I've set up another channel called Quantum Vibe Tarot. Links on the homepage. If you want to go check that out, it's shorter transmissions. It's more activation codes, timeless activation codes, whether it's through healing or activating more integrated frequency. I'm on camera as well. I'm bringing a lot of more channeling, and I'm using lots of decks, but very quickly. So it's not fixed on astrology in the same way. There's only 2 transmissions. 1, healing the wounded inner child. 2, activating our higher avatar of love. I'm going to be doing transmissions, 1 for the South Node in Virgo, 1 for the North Node in Pisces, to activate the most integrated frequency and intention of that transit. So really elevating our reality. Tuela dialima duela. Before I continue, this card had come out when I was shuffling for the Mercury-Pluto energy. So this is Mercury's card. As within, so without. So Pluto, recalibrating our root id power and our magnetism to draw things towards us, right, that transform our life, that draw up riches from the underground, right, and our capacity to use our power in a neutral way that brings about that which we desire, right? If you try and distort other people's realities, if you try and control other people's realities through this, okay, do what you want, but focus on your experience that doesn't involve influencing others, right? Get to the core principles of what you would like to create, right? The feeling rather than the details, right? So now we've got the magician of the yang energy of, through the downloads that we're getting with this, we are activating a higher level of our capacity, because we're working with universal frequencies, to work with everything around us to manifest our dreams. Right, back to Jupiter. So then we've got the 2 of Wands and the 2 of Swords. Now the 2 of Swords is about realizing you are in a new realm, right? You are in a new landscape. This figure has traveled across the ocean, right? They've left their home and they are now at this new land that they're about to set up camp in. But before they do, they're going inwards, right? They're quietening the busy mind and going inwards and contemplating who they once were and who they are now, and who do they want to be in this new landscape. It requires a going inward and finding your truth, finding your inner equilibrium, but allowing the stillness. Again, meditation can be a great one, but whatever form in which you gather your inner knowledge, right? So it's saying there's a focal point here with that Jupiter retrograde of internally questioning things and coming to a higher space of truth. But we need to acknowledge we are in the new realm down, guys. We're now just recalibrating to it. And we've got another 2, right? This is about getting the lay of the new land, right? Of this new realm that we're in. This figure is standing on top of their castle that is their home. They're very safe and secure, but they're itching to get out and put everything into practice and start the new journey. But this is a long-term manifestation energy. So we've got 2 cards that represent kind of slowing down and observing what's going on around us, figuring out and then doing the inner work and questioning things and having, like, really objectively looking at what our reality is now, right? So often we can struggle to catch up with the truth of what's going on with us because we're holding on to those old perspectives. That Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is helping us shift that and observe different things and then be able to apply it. And this is leading to the Ace of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups, a fresh new energy of how we create in the 3D world, right? That is no longer connected to where we were before. I mean, unless it's things that we've cultivated that serve us in this new landscape. But you get what I'm saying, this fresh new energy of building, of finding ways of creation in the 3D that are elevated. You know, the flowers here are the same as the magician. Where is it? The roses and the lilies, which is what I called the 2 cats that I adopted over the summer. And one is actually sitting right behind me. And there's this mountain, which is the higher perspective, right? So how do we create from that galactic council energy in the 3D world? Well, we're getting fresh energy by letting go of things, knowing we're safe, knowing that this is a time with the new moon as it builds, right? It's going to be build and we're going to manifest more and more. But now's the time to observe, to put intentions into those new seeds with this thriving frequency. And then the 10 of Cups, outward manifestation of the inner world, right? Of this is alignment of the chakra body, right? And when we are internally aligned, where we've come to our truth, we see it show up outside. We are governors of our own reality. What principles are you having to manifest your reality? What are the core foundations, those universal truths that are creating this, right? So I love that 10 of Cups. So Pisces energy, that Pisces energy is coming in very loud. Miracles, guys, miracles. Okay, so what time is it? Goodness me. So very, very quickly, we also have Black Moon Lilith over in Libra, making a trine to the moon, Pluto and Mercury. It is also making a trine to Jupiter, and Lilith is all about respect, honor and dignity, right? If she's not getting that in relationships with the outside world, with anything other than herself, and she's not getting that, right? Having made a good effort to try and work through whatever hypocrisy or hierarchical structures that don't make any sense she's confronted with, i.e. being told you can't do a thing, not being told why, and the thing that told you couldn't do a thing is doing that thing, right? That kind of hypocrisy, that lack of equality, right? If there's a wall, if there's resistance, and Lilith has tried bashing down that wall and she's like, right, okay, you're not willing to budge, well then I'm off. I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm going to live my own life. Dianimo o tuela madishinima tin 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 do fala dianima. She's gonna be free. There's a freedom element to Lilith, right? And so it's in the sign of Libra, that balance, that inner equilibrium. And these are all aspecting each other by trine. There's wisdom and elevation here. There's this feeling good coming through. So this is tying back into what I said about, right? Aquarius can be a bit stubborn and it can get into conflict when, you know, those principles, they're not seeing them. It can get a bit frustrated that, oh, the utopia that it wants isn't manifesting, right? And when it's in conflict and then focusing on the problems, it then feeds the old paradigm. This Lilith energy feels like, it's like, if you come across that energy and you're like frustrated, right, and annoyed, or, you know, whatever it is, that Lilith energy within you, because that's disturbing the balance, right? That's bringing in conflict. That Lilith energy is going to be, right, no, I'm just going to move you away from this frequency. We're going to go back to your truth, right? It doesn't matter if it's not showing up externally, right? That's for everybody else to do. That's their lives. They're doing that. It's the I am, the respecting of the I am, which I'll get to later. It's about coming back to, okay, how is this influencing you? Is this limiting your freedom of expression of truth? Is this limiting how you operate and walk your talk? If it is, Lilith is going to move you away, right? Lilith is then going to be drawing towards you when you're committing to this, right? Of bringing towards you that which is in balance, that which is equal, that which is in flow. So the cards that we have, the Five of Swords in reverse, the Three of Wands, and then the Three of Cups. Again, we've got double threes now, double threes, double sixes, double twos. Now we've got double fives, lots of doubles. Five of Swords in reverse, right? That's the conflict I was talking about, the bully and the victim mentality, the sense of domination and subjugation. I'm right, you're wrong. Kind of, this for me is the most difficult card in tarot. It's actually 55 minutes as I'm talking about this, right? So this is the release of the bully in the mind that then has us then take that bully out on the road, or the victim mentality, whatever that is, right? Lilith is helping release that in your sense of inner equilibrium. It's no longer your truth anymore to engage in it. And if you are engaging in it, it's more in like, hey, let's have a chat, rather than I want to be right. Got the Three of Wands, embarking on a new journey, knowing you are showing up, doing the best that you can. And that's all that matters. Not trying to plan or control how it's all going to unfold, but knowing up, you're showing up, right? So this is Lilith saying, hey, no, she's going to bring a new adventure for you, right? That is representing that equality, both internally and externally. The sense of respect, honor and dignity and freedom all combined. Healthy co-creation. And then the Three of Cups. Right, there's that union, that flow, that joy. All these figures, they might disagree with each other, but they all still get along. They enjoy the process, right? They enjoy the feeling that they have, their sense of abundance and union and flow, right? So rather than being in conflict, we're bringing in flow with that Lilith energy in the sign of Libra, right? Helping us understand how to bring that in, right? And stay in that lovely flow state rather than being in a state of restriction, contraction and conflict. And that can very much be bringing things up from Pluto, right? Certain power distortions that Lilith is going to help soothe. Right, the only other aspect that's going on with the moon itself is with Vesta, who is over in the sign of Scorpio, and she is exactly at 9 degrees of Scorpio, squaring the sun and the moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius. Now Vesta is about the inner soul contract, the purity of the inner flame, the domestic realm, the inner world, right? And that can be the home as well as your internal spaces. She is, again, whenever she's transiting somewhere, she is reorientating that house, that sign, whatever you got in that sign, back to the purity of your soul contract, the original contracts, rather than when those contracts split off into other contracts, and then more and more and more and more and more, where you then got a clutter going on. You've probably got some energy being funneled into certain soul contracts that just aren't relevant anymore. Vesta comes along and essentially sort of not cuts them away, but stops the energy from draining in places where they don't need to be when it comes to your soul contracts, and funnels them all back into the root energy, back into that universal energy. She is about ritual and dedication and devotion, right? Of showing up and doing the damn thing. In terms of the practice that's coming through in here. Scorpio, that deep inner truth that we may have been hiding from, right? So this may reveal certain ideas, certain parts of yourself that you may have been afraid to look at, right? But the objectivity of Aquarius is going to help you not fall into a pit of shame or worry or fear about this. In fact, you're going to be finding a great deal of wisdom and a clarity of your true fixed emotional body, right? Rather than the stuck heavy energy. It's the truth of your capacity to look into the darkness and find the truth, and not get disorientated, and be able to transmute that truth and reveal it in the light. Itu fala di anima. So one side of that can see digging up some things internally that you may have found it a little difficult to look at, but now you've got the capacity to do so. It will only do so when you can. As well as strengthening your soul contract with your fixed water body, right? The power of your emotional body to manifest these universal principles. Ito from the inherent nature of the originality of your soul contract. Rather than the clutter. Let's get itoela. Dialama otoela. Dishenimotoela. Right, we've got 4 cards, and it's a square, so it's an aspect of Mars, which is about building. It's about manifesting in the 3D, but it can bring up conflict, drama, and frustration. As I said, if these things are happening, like the revealing of certain ideas of yourself, or it may be other people or whatever, if that happens, know that it's letting you know about where there is friction, and therefore where there is energy to build, right? So it can help release them, help you funnel that energy in a more embracive way rather than a conflict-orientated way. But essentially you're building and manifesting and creating with this new moon, with Vesta, in the power of your Scorpio energy. So the cards that I have are the Queen of Wands, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Nine of Pentacles, right? So Vesta is linked into the inner flame, the spark of life, right? In Rome, there was a temple to Vesta, was if the flame went out, then the empire would fall. And that is, the empire, even though it was really big, was the inner world rather than what was outside of the empire. So tending to Vesta, tending to that inner flame, the sanctity of your connection to source, keeps you protected, keeps you safe, keeps you secure. And when we don't do that, then everything can fall down, right? So she's also, the temple was also where they kept contracts, where they didn't want the contracts to be tampered with. They would be safe. The really high important contracts would be stored there, so they wouldn't be tampered with. So again, it's the honoring of the contract. Got the Queen of Wands, so very Vesta energy, right, in terms of that flame, of cultivating and nurturing your flame, of nurturing it from a very independent, confident place, right, of being able to follow the light, and trust in your instincts. 1122, as I say that, it's going to bring about a higher clarity of vision that's based on your sovereignty, the clarity of your soul contract, and how to instinctively act upon it, right? With this fire energy, new passion, new drive, new motivation. That's leading to the Nine of Cups. Right, this is a holistic life, the capacity to take the actions that serve creating heaven on earth, right? This is kind of like one of the, you've got the Ten of Pentacles as well. Like, it's the lead up from that Ace of Pentacles, which is the activation of creation, heaven on earth, to the manifestation of it, right? Of being able to say no, knowing what you need to do, that what helps with work, home, friends, family, lovers, all of that all combined. So Vesta, with the square to the new moon, is helping you build this life, right? From your universal truth, right? That not anybody else's. Right, so those are the major aspects that are going on with the moon. The only other thing I want to talk about now, and this is why we've been getting a lot of Pisces energy, is Saturn rules this moon. So what's going on with Saturn is influencing this moon, and so Saturn is in Pisces. It's still conjunct Venus, so we're strengthening our love and our connection and our harmony to build the magical reality, to connect to universal love and feel it in our foundational space. Saturn, very mature, very do the jobs, get the work done, it's worth it. Saturn's about our long-term legacy and our commitment to it, so that is the commitment to this more miracle universal love frequency, which is why that was coming through very strongly. And it's trine Mars over in the sign of Cancer. That sense of the we're talking about you know, these are perspectives. How do they affect how you take action? Well, Saturn is influencing it from a place of maturity that is feeding into Mars of the recalibration of your motivation, your drive, and your action. And obviously the moon is influencing Mars, because Mars is in the sign of Cancer, of recalibrating your intuitive body in alignment with this higher perspective that's coming in with this new moon. My feet are wiggling very, very quickly right now. It's like I want to get up and go and do the actions, right? That is in alignment with this higher truth and higher perspective. And obviously Saturn's there with the North Node and Neptune. Even though they're a little further away from Saturn, they're coming into the conjunction. So we're going to get 3 cards for this energy. It really is that sense of seeing the reality of the miracles, right? I'm not going to talk too much about that, because I talk about that in the Pisces North Node and Virgo South Node transit, where I've genuinely, more than any other time in my whole life, and consistently, the synchronicities, the facilitation of releasing any of my fears, of the things that I need in the moment, of letting go of a lot of burden of doing all the things because it feels like source and the outside world is supported. It's just wild. It is wild. It's showing up so much now that it's no longer the magical reality. It is in fact the reality. And that's Saturn, Venus, Neptune, the North Node, all strengthening the capacity to believe in the non-rational, to believe in the non-linear, to believe in the hyper-connectiveness of the universe, and that source loves you and therefore wants to provide for you. So you can live your best authentic life. And there is space for everybody. So Saturn is being ruled by Jupiter, because Jupiter traditionally rules Pisces. And so Jupiter is influencing it, that new neural synapses, being open, being curious, being playful in your engagement with this energy, in how you perceive things and how you try and put it into practice, right? Connecting the dots, making new connections, allowing yourself to shift perspectives that are in alignment with your true universal truth, right? Now Mercury rules Gemini, so Mercury is influencing Jupiter, and as we've already talked about, Mercury is conjunct Pluto and this moon. So we have this strong feedback loop between Mercury, Saturn and Jupiter. They are ruling the whole chart, right? So we've got this capacity to connect to higher frequencies. I always recommend, and I forgot to mention, with an Aquarius transit, is connect to like binaural beats. Right, whatever frequency that's coming from like a more of a universal place, or that can be listening to your favorite song that invokes the high frequency of love, whatever it is. But there's the frequency and the integration of frequency. For me, I think Pluto in Aquarius, one of the main things is the activation of sound therapy, sound healing being and the power of sound to create. Dushana Maum. We just want one more card. Dishalama Om. Obviously, Om is a very powerful, which is what kind of feels like it's coming out. Om is a very powerful mantra, the universal sound of creation. So, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, all interlinked. Our higher perspective, our bigger picture perspective of Jupiter, Mercury, the details, right? The communication thereof, Saturn, the maturity, the commitment to our legacy of how we are perceiving the magical reality. I just realized okay, right, we got those. Okay, we'll run through these quickly. Okay, they if I let them, they really would do all of the shenima shenima dianima do fala dianima. They really would do the whole deck. So for this aspect this energy that's imprinting the whole chart. Just realized I'm nearly 8 minutes past an hour and I haven't done any of the Hermetic principles yet. We've got Justice, we've got the Wheel of Fortune, hello Jupiter, we've got the Six of Swords, which is an Aquarius card. It's the moon, no, it's the Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse. This is Jupiter in Gemini card. We've got the Page of Swords, so here are all the swords finally. We've got the Queen of Cups and the Three of Pentacles. So very quickly, because I could go on for ages, this is the inner equilibrium, the inner balance, the truth, being able to observe reality objectively and empathetically, find our truth, be in balance and make good judgments. And that judgment is linked into the awareness that fate is changing, the wheel is coming upright, bigger things are happening. This is a Jupiter card, so this is a sense of abundance, of feeling good about our 3D experience, of our perspective, that all things do change and at the moment things are on the up. The awareness that we are still transiting from survival to thriving. What core perspectives with this awareness are we going to, with this intention as well, right, of clarity and a sense of abundance, with that intention, what are your core perspectives to take with you to a landscape of thriving? The third six that's come up, sixes are very protected, they're very guided, so we are being guided into this new landscape, and it's giving us the space and time to understand our universal truths that are rid of limiting beliefs and restrictions, trapped in a cage of our own making. All our perspectives are limited. We know nothing. The more that we lean into knowing nothing and be open to how we are perceiving in any given moment, is going to open us wide open, right? And it can be like you can have those core principles, but you're not confining them to show up in a certain way, right? So Page of Swords, the time traveler, right, of being able to look to the past, be present in the moment but headed towards the future, right? The inner wisdom of finding new ideas, new ways of communicating, new ways of understanding all of the information of all of time, and getting a lot of inspiration, a lot of downloads from source via the Galactic Council, via that higher air frequency of Aquarius. It's just helping us get that higher perspective and integrate the past, present and future into the now, so we are then able to be open to the abundance of the universe and feel a place of serenity. The Queen of Cups, she can see into the future, she's very psychic, but is she nervous, is she worried? No, she's in fact so serene with where she is right now. She is turning into the environment, right? So she is at peace. Serenity of the emotional body, heightened psychic abilities, heightened intuition and cultivation and nurturing and nourishment. This is what we're providing for ourselves now that we've elevated our perspective, right? So we're not fearful and trying to control the future. We are being present and following our intuition, and that intuition is cultivating a deep sense of nourishment to understand the mastery of self and build for the long term something beautiful and long lasting, right? This figure went their own path, and because they went their own path and they weren't conditioned, they embody a state of mastery, and then they draw towards them others who have different skills in order to collaborate to build something beautiful and long lasting, right? So there is this energy with the wood snake around social energy of collaborating with others. So there's a real sense of, because of your inner frequency, the truth of what you're operating from, you're drawing towards you others, other soul family, other people. Your reality is shifting and changing, so it's bringing towards you that which you are in order to create in the 3D something that will last, something that is beautiful, right? Something that is powerful. This can also be other parts of the self all coming together. Okay, I cut the deck really quickly. Got the Five of Pentacles in reverse, Seven of Cups, Seven of Swords, and the Star. Hello, Aquarius. Let's take the Star out. Thinking differently, thinking outside of scarcity, outside of feeling left out in the cold, feeling isolated, feeling run down, allowing yourself to fantasize and dream outside of that reality, right? Seven of Cups, thinking differently, thinking beyond conflict. finding your inner balance, acknowledging that there are practices that can be done in order to shift your reality via the mind, to not get trapped in cycles of the past. Be the Page of Swords. Be moving towards the future while being very present in the now. Do not let the past govern your present moment in a way that does your soul a disservice. What was the final card? Oh, what was it? The Star. Oh yeah. Right, so this, back to your unique self, your galactic energy here on the 3D world, your hopes and your dreams, your unique frequency. You're no longer masking, you're no longer hiding, you rid yourself of all of that, right? Deep healing process that is allowing the galactic and earth energy to work together in this incarnation. Enama di shanimo tufina di anama di shinima otoela di anima do shanama di shinima di shanimo toela di anama. So that's, I mean, I could talk more, but that's what we've got going on. Uranus, oh, leftover card. Uranus is going direct 2 days after this moon. So you're going to see a shift in the path, right? So Uranus is the path clearer, the breaker of chains. It wants you to be free. It wants you to be confident and in your own unique energy and walk your path without being influenced from the outside world in a way that does you a disservice. It's retrograde, so it's recalibrating internally, right? Revising, revisiting, shifting what that means to you, how you're going to put it into practice. It's going to go direct 2 days after this new moon. So even though the retrograde energy is still imprinted along with the retrograde Jupiter, and so that is a real sense of inner recalibration to the next level, right? You're then going to start to see that path become clear, that the inner recalibration, you're going to be able to constantly adapt and change to what that path is showing you, right? I cut the deck one last time just because I like all the cards, and we got the Lovers. So hello, Gemini. But essentially this is the integration of self. So you know what decisions to make that serve you in the long term, falling in love with your life again, feminine, masculine spirit, all aligned to go climb that mountain and not get drained by it, not be exhausted by it. But so when there are crossroads, when there are big decisions, the energy that's coming through with this new moon is getting you to a place where you're not second guessing yourself, you're not doubting the decisions that you make and how you walk your path. You're more in aligned with your truth. King of Swords underneath that. Lol. Okay, hi Aquarius. That clarity and sovereignty of action is helping you move through the world from a place of victory because you know your truth and you're acting on it. Right. So let's really quickly, I'll write them in the description box. I'm gonna say the 7 Hermetic principles out loud. And the Hermetic principles are based on this figure called Hermes Trismegistus. It's 3 times Hermes, and Hermes is Mercury. So very appropriate that I felt called for this to bring this in, right? Because Mercury is conjunct Pluto, conjunct the Sun. That it's, again, it's universal, it's principles to apply in your life that is linked into how the fundamentals of reality show up, right? So first up we have mentalism. All is the mind, the universe is mental. So we're training the mind, right? This isn't about hating on the mind. This isn't thinking that the mind has to be quiet. It's your attachment to what the mind is up to, right? So this is the cultivation of the observer energy, of observing those thoughts and being like, hey, the more you get in observer mode, the more you basically kind of get into source mode. That higher perspective, that zoomed out, we're not entangled, we're not attached. The more we then go into that state of neutrality that then feeds the embodiment of our heart and the true frequency. Remember, the Egyptians chucked away the mind and kept the heart, right? So even though this principle is like the universe is mental, I think the emotions are behind that, right? So the truth of that love, that creates everything. And the mind is part, is a tool for which to get back to that love, right? Often by stripping it bare. Two, correspondence. As above, so below. I prefer as within, so without, because it doesn't imply a hierarchy, which I'm not a fan of. Right, that inner understanding, that inner balance act, the inner recalibration has an effect. Your inner world affects your outer world. I know sometimes we can struggle to hear it. As I said before, I've been told in the past that sometimes when I'm trying to offer like the quickest fix to the situation that I'm spiritually bypassing, I've got Cancer in my 12th house. It's hidden, right? So that emotion, that connection on the personal emotional level can feel very isolated to me. I've got better as I've aged, obviously, as we all do. But that is that sense of responsibility that it gives us, of like, we create our reality. The more that I've been practicing on a daily basis, the awareness of the miracles, being open to receive the miracles from source, that there is no scarcity, and not feeling shame if I receive abundance, right? The more, and this is the mantra that I wanted to bring in, because it brings in the North Node in Aries, and that we've closed out that cycle, that every time I try out new mantras, i.e. you say repeated intentions in your head, right? Every time I try out new ones, I always then question, what do those words mean, right? That word feels limiting. That word doesn't feel like it fully expresses the feeling I have underneath it all of what I desire, not necessarily the details of it. And every time I end up then just chanting, I am. And for me, it just gets to the root of it all. It gets to the depth of it all, that it encompasses everything. It honors the fact that you are the I am. You are the I am of the universe, and you are a channel for it. You are it. It is you. But we've got so much conditioning that blocks us from accepting that and getting that. The more that found that I've been daily practices of stepping into these two spaces, the more that I've felt more confident in myself, more in my own power, more at ease with what's going on in my life, no matter what it is. And just this openness and this strength. I'm not in conflict so much with the outside world. Obviously, there are moments it hasn't fully integrated, but as within, so without. And I've started to see more abundance, more manifestation happening without me trying to control it, right? Without me pushing at it. Itu, fa, la, Dinah. Vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. What is your vibrational frequency? Everything changes. That's the Pluto energy. Be okay with the shifts and change. Be aware that everything has its own vibrational frequency. And you are constantly interacting with all of that, right? So this is kind of highlighting the influence we have on other things, as well as how other things have influence on us, right? I always get a bit annoyed at those who go, like, I understand that processed things aren't good for us because it's going through other stages that take us away from the original, i.e. further and further away from source. I get that, right? Every time I'm eating any kind of processed food, like hyper processed food, which I eat very rarely, but occasionally, sugar is fun, right? Refined sugar. Every time my body's like, stop it. That's the South Node in Virgo at the moment. But it's that kind of awareness that everything. Anyway, I was diverting. So I get a bit annoyed when I try not to get annoyed anymore, but I get my fur goes up, right? You know, that instinctive, like, oh, that doesn't feel right. When people are prioritizing the natural over the man-made. That man-made, that plastic is still source. It's still part of nature. It has its own frequency, right? They say, oh, certain things have consciousness. No, everything has consciousness, right? Your computer is a very conscious being. You know, I've been given computers throughout my life that people have said, oh, there's this problem, there's this problem, there's this problem. And I don't have those problems with those computers because I operate from a place of care and love and openness of a relationship, that then whatever those problems are, often find ways of resolving them, or that energy that I'm working with is at peace because they feel safe, they feel seen, so they then come back to their universal frequency, right? diala. So this is taking us out of judgment and into flow. And the acknowledgement, sometimes we got to do the calibration around our frequency, which is why I've been enjoying doing the transmissions over on my other channel. Isha, sorry, I'm speaking really fast just because I'm like, oh, this is there's now a 2-part series. It's coming up to 2 hours. Polarity, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has a pair of opposites that are interlinked. They are all 2 sides of the same coin. There isn't duality. That is a conflict orientated understanding of the reality of light and dark, of death and life, right? These things happen, they are interchanged with each other. We've got to make peace with them and work with them, the yin and the yang of it, right? Not to exclude or prioritize it. There is a constant ebb and flow between the polarities, and understand that you have this within yourself as well. Rhythm, everything flows out and in, everything has tides, all things rise and fall, right? This is not to be in conflict with how things are unfolding, to trust in the process, to know that we need rest as much as we need action. What is your rhythm? Figure out what your rhythm is. Maybe do a meditation and sort of and see and ask in the meditation for your higher self to show you your true rhythm. So say when you get up from your meditation, say, can you show me after I get up what's my natural rhythm? And that can then help you dissolve North Node conjunct Neptune over in Pisces anymore, and release South Node in Virgo, the restrictions of limitation beliefs that we have that then govern the way that we build in the world. Cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has a cause. Consequences of the actions that you take. This leads you to a place of integrity, an awareness of your influence on yourself and your reality, and that you have the power to understand and build your own reality. What are the rules of your reality based on these principles, based on how you see it show up when you're in that high flow manifestation energy. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. These are not sex specific every time. They are within you. We have the masculine and feminine. It's in the natal chart. 6 signs are yin, 6 signs are yang. We cannot avoid it. Yes, there are extremes. Yes, there are bigger stereotypes that do show up. So if someone's predominantly yang and born a male, they're going to show up as a more exaggerated understanding of the masculine energy, right? There is ebb and flow. There is nuance and extremes. There is everything in balance and everything in between, right? This awareness of that yin yang energy, and how think of the magnets of that which is drawn and that which repels, right? That sense of magnetism, again, Pluto, right? How does that show up in your life? How do you want to apply these things? What do they mean to you, and how can you put them into practice in your day-to-day? Essentially, it's all neutrality. It's all this awareness of the bigger picture, the understanding of things shifting and changing, and being in a neutral state in order to harness the power of any of these at any given moment. Now, the Tao. This is more the Piscean energy, right? The Tao is the way. It's when you align with the natural order and flow of life, right? They often in Taoism reference the word water, the element of water even, right? And so that's this Pisces energy, right? Of surrender, soften, go in the flow state, the high priestess. Know that when you get out of your own way, when you get out of control, your true self comes through. Right? The true alignment comes through. You don't have to force it, right? It's about, we think the mind thinks it's got to control everything. No. This is about stepping out of the way. So we've got all these big core perspectives, this yang air energy, and we want to apply it from the way, right? From this acknowledgement that in order to implement these perspectives, we have, right, start off with the awareness and cultivation and the learning of those perspectives, then step into that surrender intuitive nature, and then see where your instincts take you. That's going to give you clues on a personal level of what does all of this mean to you, right? So the Tao, the way, the Tao, Qi is energy. The Tao is universal source. It is everything. Then comes the Wu Wei of it all, the non-action, effortless action without force. adaptive by applying ziran, naturalness, self-so, true to one's innate nature. So kind of everything that I've just said. Again, that is the North Node, South Node, with the facilitation of adding on the core principles of the universe: maths, geometry, vibration, sound and vision. Maybe go listen to that David Bowie song because it's cool. I love that song. So this is a process of trusting in the sense of self, because we're having an upgrade in our understanding of that. Of that kaya mind clarity. And from that softening, our intuition will guide us towards outward yang action. So the tools that we have for this new moon are going to directly help magnify the capacity to integrate and expand the intention of that North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. Oof! Discenemo duela di anima una. Discenemo di anima. Duela di. Cut the deck for a final card from this deck. We got synchronicities. That is the universal truth. We've also got manifestation. That everything is in fact connected. You might want to go into some quantum stuff as well. I might bring that in with the oracle reading. Final card, calling final card. Dishanama o tuela, healing, ila, duela, dishanima o tuela, ishanima. That's going in with the star energy, that we're healing such a core archetypal collective perspective around the finite world, right? This sense of the very rational, objective energy. We're observing things now that objectively before we would have been like, what is going on? This seems like, I hate this. Try not to hate things, but genuinely I do despise this phrase. Woo-woo. I know it's just really easily accessible for what this is. It also says service for others. And what I feel with this is the process we're all going through of finding that clarity, that higher perspective, and recalibrating our frequency to it. That through our actions as we move through the world, through our vibration, for me, Aquarius is very much about vibration. That vibration is reverberating out in the world, that is then influencing others in a way that serves their soul's frequency. So the healing and the recalibration that we're doing on ourselves is activating as a collective healing words. Why am I struggling? When we heal ourselves, we heal the world, guys. Lol. Oh, God. Cut the deck. Shut up. Right? This is it. This is what I'm telling you. This is it. This is it. Know thyself and the world will open up to you. Hello, Saturn. Right? The more you get to the root of who you are, the more you strip yourself bare, the more you clear the clutter of the energy internally, you can co-create with source at a level that is beyond. You're flying through the air, right? This is fixed energy as well. These are all the fixed signs. Okay, I'm going to breathe and leave it there. That was wild. Breath work, really good. Breath work and meditation, very good to do around with Aquarius transits, or obviously just in general. I happen to be going to a breathwork and Qigong session just before the new moon with an Aquarius rising. We always seem to hang out around these moons. So change your bedding, clean up. I did all this in part 1. Tap in, ask about what is your universal frequency, listen to binaural beats or whatever it is, or Om chanting would be really good. Get in there, find that sense of clarity within yourself, raise your vibrations, open up to your own universal truth, and enjoy the ride. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. I had a lot of fun doing it. If you want a personal reading, perhaps about this new moon, the new lunar year, or anything else, we obviously have the big nodal shift. Got Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, that as well. Whatever you would like. My website is everywhere. If you want to pay by PayPal, email me directly. I love doing personal readings. They are always wild. The energy is always wild. Other than that, be good to yourselves. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.